When people ask me why I wandered into philosophy, why I started questioning everything instead of just living, the honest answer is simple. Since I can remember, I've felt that being alive is strange. Not just the world, not just people, but the fact of existing at all. I'd be sitting in the backyard as a kid, watching light spill through the leaves, and suddenly think, how on earth is this even happening? Here we are, breathing, thinking, moving around, and we treat it as ordinary. But if you pause for even a moment, it's utterly bizarre. Of course, when I say bizarre, I don't mean bad or wrong. I mean it sticks out. Like a bright color splashed on a gray wall, you can only see it against the plain background. Life stands out against nothing. Against the quiet, undifferentiated backdrop of whatever it is that isn't life. And that's where the itch begins. That tiny tug in your mind that says, this is worth looking at. At first, you ask, why? Why is there something instead of nothing? Why am I me and not someone else? But if you chew on why for too long, you find it keeps slipping away. Eventually, you switch the question, not why, but how. How is this happening? How does existence work? That's when you stumble into science, into cosmology and biology and physics, into people who try to measure the dance of the universe. And they do find answers, elegant ones, patterns, equations, repeating shapes. They can tell you how the stars burn, how the cells divide, how light bends. But then a deeper itch returns. What is all that stuff made of? Not in the chemical sense, but in the real sense. What is this underneath? The problem is, we don't know how to frame an answer, because every answer is another category, another label, like filing the universe into boxes. We say, it's matter, or it's energy, or it's space-time. But those are just words in the filing cabinet. And every time you open a box to look inside, you find smaller boxes. We can name the shapes and the rules, but we can't point to a final ingredient. Physics eventually gave up the hunt for stuff. The closer they looked, the more it dissolved into patterns, waves, relationships, fields. It's all structure, no core. You zoom in on a fabric, you find threads. Zoom in again, fibers. Zoom further, molecules, then atoms. Then particles that are sometimes particles, sometimes waves, but never quite the little marbles we imagined. And every time you try to say, yes, but what's the wave made of? The answer evaporates. So maybe what's it made of is the wrong kind of question. Matter itself is a slippery word. It means that which measures up. The Sanskrit root matra means to measure. From that, ancient thinkers spoke of Maya, not simply as illusion, but as the grand creative play that makes the patterns we see. Play, yes, because if reality is anything, it's playful. Like music, it doesn't point to anything outside itself. It is the point. Nobody asks a great musician, what does this song mean? The music is the meaning. It's a living sentence that only makes sense while it's being spoken. Look at the world that way. Trees are treeing, rivers are rivering, stars are starring, clouds are clouding, and you are youing. We come and go like all these other happenings. Forms appear, dissolve, reappear. But here's the tricky part. We get attached to our form. We think, I must keep this shape. I must make this particular me last forever. We call that the instinct to survive. And modern moral talk often boils down to, we should survive. Which means certain behaviors get praised because they keep the form going, and others get blamed because they don't. But here's the paradox. To tell something spontaneous, keep going forever, is to wrap it in a knot. It's like telling someone, relax, right now, voluntarily. Life moves on its own. Breath comes and goes. Thoughts come and go. Trying to force it to keep going is like grabbing at water with your fist. The real issue is, we're rarely here, in the raw, present moment, the only place reality ever is. Instead, we act as though the real joy is always around the corner, as though life will finally be complete once we get there, wherever there is. But that later never arrives. It can't. Life is only ever here, now, in this blink of happening. So the real punchline is this. The biggest illusion isn't that the world is solid. The biggest illusion is that the meaning of life is waiting for you in the future. And the wisest thing you can do? Stop waiting, because the show has already started.